There we go.
This is the place you
Fasten your
turn to when
seatbelt.
you need
It's
a
going to
friend.
be a
The Lillian
fun
McDermott
ride.
Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web
So
at
loud.
whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, you are in for a treat because we're going to talk about things that you don't hear about on the radio. So if you're new to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, the purpose of the show is to provide a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams, the life you desire. Today, if you want to be a part of the show, if you want to share your thoughts, you can always text or call me. Leave me your thoughts because, we have so many friends on social media, but we've lost that intimate connection that happens in friendships where you connect with one another. And so feel free to call me at 407-373-5959 as well as text me, because what we're going to talk about today is, what do you believe? And why do you believe it? It's very simple, because many of us have been taught, like a puppy is taught not to pee or poop in the floor. And so we have been domesticated just like our puppy. And we have formed a set of beliefs. And those sets of beliefs have been taught to us. But are they our beliefs? Why do we believe it? So I am going to challenge you in every level today, because it is time to dissect my latest article with Florida Today with my favorite editor of Florida Today, Tim Walters. He's also the creator of Daddy Duty for those of you who are new parents, fathers. He's giving you the perspective ever since Isabella was born, his little girl. And we're going to talk a little bit about his articles as well. Ever since she was born, he's been writing about it. So if you're a new parent and you want to hear a male's perspective that's been there before you, he's the guy for you. And so today, as I mentioned, my article is online at floridatoday.com, but it's also going to be on print tomorrow. The article is called New Year's Game of Truth or Dare. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Tim Walters is here to do just that. Welcome back, Tim, to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show.
Thank you, Lillian. I need to have you introduce me everywhere I go, because I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, okay. Well, I'll introduce you first, and then you introduce me. How about that?
There you go. That'd be great.
Because I just came from your show, your television show, because we not just do radio together, we do TV together. So you're a television personality as well as an editor. You're my favorite Swiss Army knife of everything that you do. Share a little bit about your background and why you are still surviving and thriving when so many newspapers have been shut down.
Well, I think that we've kind of figured out how to find our audiences and engage with them online and in different social media forums, as well as in the traditional print product. So while we still have our niche with print, with, a certain segment of especially older readers, but some younger people like print, people love our apps, people love engaging us on Facebook, and we get, feedback all the time. In fact, I've been getting lots of feedback from an article I wrote yesterday calling UCF legitimate claim to their national championship, and that fires people up, with the
legitimate or illegitimate.
No, I think it's legitimate. And if you read my article, I lay it out why. I have lots of fact in there, lots of research. And I think when people read it, they at least get a fair perspective. So normally we don't talk sports on this show, but I'm also the sports editor for Florida Today and the Treasure Coast newspapers, which are Stewart, St. Lucie, and Indian River County. So it's another one of my passions. And so Go check it out.
I tell you what, but it's making them sound. I know that we don't talk sports, we don't talk politics on the Lillian McDermott radio show, but this is I don't know. I don't know what makes somebody the front line or the number one or number two. I don't know how the selection process is, but all I can tell you is that if you've researched how many games they played and the difficulty of the team that they were playing against compared to the ones that were in the national championship, then I would say you can compare apples to apples. Then perhaps maybe there's some legitimacy to that claim to national champions. But that is totally not what we talk about on the Lillian McDermott radio show. I might get more listeners, though.
Yeah, that's why we engage so well on social media, because people, like I said, if you read the facts, you'll be like, wow, his points aren't that crazy.
Okay, I'm going to read your article. And so that's what I want to do. I want to get crazy uncomfortable with our the way that we think about ourselves and our lives and what we believe. So we're going to continue our conversation when we return with Tim Walters Worldwide. We're going to continue this conversation about the championship when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Oh boy.
There's a first Lillian McDermott sports show.
Hey, who knows? Maybe, that's what I was saying with your show on television when we were on WEFS TV. And when is this show going to air on WEFS?
It's Sunday at is it 5 or 5:30? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I think
it's Sunday evening.
Yeah,
5:30. Yeah.
Sometime, just turn it on. And for WEFS TV, and that's channel 6, you said?
I believe it's 5 on Bright House.
5 on Bright House.
Yes. If it's not, it's 9. They're both it's one of the public access. One is WUCF and one is WEFS. So I can't remember which is 5 and which is 9.
Okay. So are we on both, or are we just on one?
No, we're just on the WEFS one.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So that would be great to tweet my article and say, hey, what do you believe? What are your beliefs? What are your values? And so did you see the Oprah Winfrey acceptance speech for the Cecil B. DeMille Lifetime Achievement Award?
No, but I read a lot about it. I haven't watched it, though.
Okay. So right after that, she's had like over 7 million views on her speech, which was phenomenal. And I love Oprah Winfrey. Because of her, I was able to open myself to consider other things in my life where, it's black or white. That's how I believe. That's how I was taught, black or white. And so just yesterday, someone posted a rebuttal, like everybody's hailing her, the next president of the United States and all this wonderful things. And this young lady, millennial, came up saying that she was totally wrong in her acceptance speech. So I want to talk to you about that. But you haven't seen the acceptance speech, but we'll just work on it. Hey, you want to take over when we get back?
Sure.
Right off the bat. Take over.
All right. We'll go right into playing Spin the Bottle.
Hey, do we have a bottle? Do I have a bottle? Hey, you have a bottle right behind you, don't you?
Only plastic.
You can text Lillian
Hey, we can do
or
it.
leave her a voicemail.
Here we go. Take over, Beth. Whenever.
Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show. This is not Lillian McDermott. I'm Tim Walters from Florida Today, and I am Lillian's guest this week. And we will be dissecting her latest article, which comes out in Florida Today's print edition tomorrow in the health section. And it's online right now at floridatoday.com/health and also at whenyouneedafriend.com. So Lillian, I always appreciate you having me on your show. And so let's just get right into your article because as I always say, I never know what to expect when your article shows up. And the first line of your article says, do you remember playing Spin the Bottle?
Yeah. Do you remember Spin the Bottle?
I do.
Did you ever play Spin the Bottle?
I did, but not as young as you. It looks like you were playing at 5 or 6. I might have been a little more advanced for that. So
Well,
it took me a while
five
to
or
get to
okay.
it.
I had older siblings. What can I say? I had older siblings, and our spin the bottle was, truth or dare, where people got dared or they said truth. And I was with my brothers and sisters, and I don't know what it was. I just remember we lived. Maybe I was 7. We lived in Washington, Spokane, Washington at the time, and we had a basement. And so all our friends would come and play in the basement. And I remember playing spin the bottle, but our spin the bottle wasn't like take off your top. It wasn't like that. It was, the stuff kids play, like, silly stuff. And because we had seen it, and I guess that was a game to play. And we would all play together, and so that was, and I share in the article how shy I really am. I'm a very shy person. And when I was little, you look at me and I'd start crying. That's how shy I was. So, of course, I'm an extrovert and I wanted to be in the middle of everything. And so I would pray that when it was my turn, they would ask the truth or dare question, and I'd always pick truth. Just ask me whatever you want. I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you the truth. So truth became my friend. And that was kind of like my rubbing my nose in the poop type of thing, where I learned very early on. And if I wanted to avoid being dared, I needed to tell the truth. So that was my take on truth or dare.
Well, I always kind of like doing the dares just because it was kind of the unknown. And so maybe I'm a little bit
Yes.
crazy like that.
Yes.
But so I did like how you use your truth to then ask a very great question. Have you ever wondered where that truth comes from? And that's where we kind of get into the meat of the article after you do your introduction about spin the bottle and truth or dare. So I thought you had a very interesting take and perspective. It's something you just don't think about, of where your knowledge, where your truth comes from.
Yes. Where does your truth come from, Tim? Have you ever, when you were reading that article, why do I believe the way I do? Because this is what happens. We are taught a certain way, and then we fight for that truth. And it may not be the truth. It may just be an opinion, a preference that you were taught as a young child that this is truth.
Yeah, I was lucky to have parents that, I had a very good relationship with my parents, so I always seemed to believe what they were telling me. It seemed true. And especially when you're younger, that's when you form a lot of your opinions and truths in life. Because as you get older, as you get into your teen years and college and things like that, you start to question a lot more. So things don't become as gospel fact as they might have seemed when you were little.
Yeah.
So, to me, that's really a big thing, is your formative years. If you have somebody who's spouting a lot of hate, you're going to grow up with a lot of hate. And so, if they tell you the truth, you're going to grow up being informed and true. So it's just, it really comes from that younger in life. That's where my truth came from. And luckily, my parents were telling the truth.
Yeah. Okay. So they were telling the truth. So here's the thing, like you said, there are parents that teach you that you're fat, you're ugly, you're stupid, and that becomes your truth. That becomes the voice in your head. And remember last month when we were together, the reason this is the article that I had written back in October, and because I heard this preacher say, and this was his truth, that you don't have to do much. All you have to do is ask God for something, and he gave the example, if you want a car, that all you have to do is ask. You don't even have to go to work. That car will show up in your driveway. That is his truth. And so is that truth the truth? Is it an opinion? Is it fact? What is it about why, if we believe something, we think it's true? I mean, have you seen people that will fight for their truth, and you're looking at them going, wow, where'd you get that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I think that people nowadays have become so staunch in what they believe that if somebody else has, the opposite belief, they're just going to fight them tooth or nail and not understand why that person believes what they believe. And you hit on a really interesting point earlier, talking about it's your truth if you grow up thinking you're fat or dumb, or, some of those awful other adjectives that are applied. That's one thing my wife and I have tried. You were talking about how I write a parenting column.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've talked about is that positive reinforcement. So with Isabella, she's 3.5, and we don't just sit there and either tell her, oh, you're so pretty or you're so cute. We tell her you're smart. You did a good job. We try and instill other, she's not just some little, pretty doll girl. We're trying to raise her to be somebody who knows she's intelligent and independent and can do things. And so we're trying to make her truth that, so she doesn't grow up with a lot of those negativities that unfortunately a lot of people have.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm glad that you are sharing that with her, and you're empowering her at a very early age. But this is what's going to happen. Somewhere along the way, there's going to be a teacher, a mentor, some popular kid in school that's going to make them feel less than. And it's amazing how those words will penetrate above your words. So it's good that you're building that foundation, so that when those people that come that have been told that they are stupid, that they are dumb, and that they are, and the only way that they know how to communicate is that to make that other person feel bad, which is called bullying, that hopefully she will have enough foundation to that truth that you're teaching her, that she is enough to figure things out, beautiful, as smart and kind and loving. And I always say that when I see a child that is so beautiful, you see all these beautiful kids, and I focus on kind and generous and loving and smart. That's what I always say, as opposed to, oh, you're so beautiful, because what's going to happen when all little kids go through that ugly stage,
Yep. Well, I'm not looking forward to those years, so let's just worry about 3.5 now and not 12.
Exactly. But you know what I'm talking about. You see it all
Absolutely.
the time. Yes.
Oh, sure. And my wife being a middle school teacher, I've seen a lot of it firsthand over the last decade plus.
That's right. So as you're looking at the article and you were reading these, I'm sure it brought you back to your initial, okay, where did I learn this? Where did I grow from this? But there's that truth. And just recently, I was telling you on the break that I never watch, well, I don't say never, I hardly ever watch these award ceremonies. If I want to know who won whatever, I'll go through the abbreviation of a news segment. This person won this, or this. I don't have till midnight to stay up to do this. However, one of my mentors, one that is on my vision board that I would love to interview someday, is Oprah Winfrey. So she just received the Cecil B. DeMille Lifetime Achievement Award, and well deserved for Oprah. And she gave a talk about your truth. And I thought it was very timely, because I had just written this article. I know she doesn't look at my stuff, so I know this was something that she came up on her own. And so she was talking about speaking your truth. Well, yesterday, I saw a kind of like a rebuttal, a young woman talking about how Oprah Winfrey was totally wrong to say that you have a truth. You have a truth, and that there is the truth, and that perhaps maybe Hollywood has an issue with the truth, and it's more about convenience. What do you have to say about something like that there is only one truth, and that we should all embrace that truth?
That gets into a philosophical religious discussion as well.
Uh-huh.
So, but I think that if you're looking at the divine and you're saying there's one truth, you can say that because all religions pray usually to one central God. But beyond that, there are different truths for each people, because people are unique. No two people are alike. Even twins are different. Correct. So, everybody can have their own truth. So I think there's kind of two parts to that. There's the religious aspect, and then there's the life aspect. So well,
but think about it. She feels that she knows the truth, and that she's speaking the truth, and it's negating. So she gives a couple of examples in her speech, which I thought was brilliant, but at the same time, I think she was taking that too literal, that she was saying that someone can say it's my truth to kill somebody else. So therefore you can't convict me because I was working on my truth. And I'm thinking that is just so the extreme. We're talking right from wrong. But everybody has their truth. Everybody has their purpose. My purpose is not your purpose, and we're all individuals. And that's where I draw the line. Yes, there are the kindness and love that to me is the truth. To be kind and loving to other people. But what I believe is true for me may not be what's true for you. And that's where I was writing the article, so that we can understand each other, because we've got to stop all the bickering and arguing and thinking, I've got the truth, you don't know anything.
Yeah, and I kind of touched on that earlier, saying how other people don't like to go, and you wrote that in your article, people don't like to step in someone else's shoes and try and figure out what they're thinking. One of the best arguments, when you talk about the truth or not the truth and people with opinions and things like that is, I remember when I was in school, I went to a private school through 8th grade, and I remember a kid who went to public school saying to me, there is no God. And I was like, just like I can't with perfect, without a shadow of a doubt, prove to you there is a God, you can't prove to me there's not. So you can't say something that definitive to me when it's something that they're, until the Almighty shows up or doesn't, until death, we don't know that. So
Correct.
Things like that, and there are politicians and political arguments that go back and forth, just like religious debates. I guess that's why they say you never talk about religion or politics.
Correct.
Or if you're Linus or the Great Pumpkin. But just a little joke thrown in there. But
nothing like quoting Peanuts.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, the point being, people nowadays aren't even looking to hear what someone else is saying. They're just waiting to rebut their point of view. And sometimes people who shout the loudest think they're right. And quite often, I'm not the person shouting. So when somebody's done with their rant, I'll usually say to them, just because you said it louder than me doesn't make you right. And it always POs them so much,
Well, it's true. And so here's the thing, that we all learn certain things. We learn different ways. And it is our duty and our responsibility. And I'm saying this in a powerfully enlightened way, in a empowering way, that it is our responsibility to sit and walk in their shoes so that we can understand the other individual, not from judgment, but from love, because that is the greatest of gifts, is love. And so we're going to continue our conversation. And when we return, we're going to play a game of truth or dare. Are you ready, Tim? Are you ready? Okay. And we're going to continue our conversation when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. I'm going to go get my bottle. We'll be right here waiting for you. Okay. So that was fun. But yeah. That was, at first when I heard this girl give her talk, I wanted to post my article, because basically we're saying the same thing, but differently.
Yeah.
And that's why I think my show is different, is because I want to focus on our similarities, not necessarily focus on our differences. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
It's been done so many times. Focusing on our differences is done everywhere. You talk about, win-lose all the time. Who won we think about it. I want to create win-win everywhere I go. And when I was going through my going through personal growth before I became a life coach, I learned one of the greatest lessons, which is on win-win. And once I embraced win-win, my life changed. And one of the things I have to ask you, Mr. Sports Guy, who won the Super Bowl last year?
The New England Patriots again.
Yes. And so who lost?
The Atlanta Falcons.
Really? So who got paid?
Who got paid? Well, they all got paid, but the Patriots got bigger bonuses for winning.
But they all got paid, right?
Oh, they all got paid.
And how many of them got rings?
Just the winners, I believe.
No, everybody.
Get rings.
That's right. They get rings too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because they were in the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's a Super Bowl ring. It didn't say that you won the Super Bowl, but you went to the Super Bowl. What about the merchants? You know, the merchants and the advertisers, they all win. And we go to these games and we get entertained and we have so much fun, right? We
Sure.
all win. But what does the media tell us? This one won and this one lost. No, we all had fun. We all won, but then we're fighting over, who's the better team and who's better and right and who's, I don't know.
I don't know if the Atlanta Falcons fans had fun. They blew a 28-3 lead and lost.
And that's why I don't talk about. But anyway, by the way, Tim, there are times where your voice is pixelating. So I want you to find your mic on your iPad or whatever you're on. Are you on a computer or? Oh,
yeah, I'm on an iPad.
Okay. So what I want you to do is just make sure that you're closer to the mic, wherever that mic is. I don't know. Be doing that. So when you read my articles, Tim, I've been wanting to ask you, when you read my articles, do you sit for a while after you read it and then digest it or process it, or do you start going right into the edit?
I read it once through, and then I go into the edit, and then I print it out, and then I start highlighting passages in it. So I really go through it 3 times. Does this sound better? Because I'm holding up a piece of paper to where the mic is.
Yes.
Okay.
But you see, but you're okay. Just pixelated too.
Okay.
What I want you to do is to make sure that you're looking in that direction. The camera. I think the camera might be. I don't know where the.
Yeah, the camera's on the opposite side of the mic.
The camera. I guess now. Here we go. And so I'm gonna go through my social media, and then I'll reintroduce you, and then we can continue with the article.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a
So
voice
now we get to play a game of truth or dare. Are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I say that so fast so many times that sometimes it's so funny. I've been doing the show for almost 7 years, and people have been listening for that long, and they'll say, how can I listen to your show? How can I see anything about your show? Whenyouneedafriend.com. You can also go to lillianmcdermott.com, but that's a lot easier. Whenyouneedafriend.com is a lot easier to remember. But I want you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com and become a subscriber. This is a movement. Tim and I were talking about off the air that most shows are about differences. Most shows are win-lose. I'm better than you. You're stupid. I'm smart. It takes on so many different adversarial angles. And my show is about our similarities. And so this is a movement. I don't know. I got one person in my movement, maybe. I don't know. I need for you to join my movement. I want you to become a subscriber at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is where we take 100% responsibility. This is where we create win-win everywhere you go, so that we can understand the other person, so that we can love unconditionally. And sometimes loving unconditionally means walking away because you need to love yourself as well. It's about learning this truth about who you are, that you are worthy, that you are enough, that you are empowered. And so I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. And when you become a subscriber, the show goes to your phone or tablet. So if you are not able to listen to a certain time, then you are more than welcome to listen at whenyouneedafriend.com. You can also go on social media, or when you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, you can click different buttons that will lead you to my social media. You can find this video, the show being video recorded on YouTube, and it'll also be on all the podcasts, Google Play, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and now I am on Spotify. For those of you who love Spotify, I am there now too. You can make sure that when you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, check out my sponsors. Without my sponsors, the show would not happen. So please figure out a way that you can support them the way that they have supported the show. And I want you to go to your phone and type in 407-373-5959. Truly want to create a movement of empowerment, of responsibility. No matter what's happened in your life, this is where we stop the suffering. This is where we embrace love, joy, abundance. And so if you're in it, join me. And so today we're talking with my favorite editor, my Swiss Army knife of editors at Florida Today, Tim Walters. And so once a month, we dissect my article. So you can find my article at Florida Today. Tim, where exactly is my article?
It is at floridatoday.com/health.
/health. And when they go to /health, they should be able to go there.
Yes, it will be. We have like a top 10 carousel where there's one main item and 9 side items next to it. And it should be either in one of those side items or under that, they have these little things we call baseball cards. It'll definitely be there because we don't cycle stories out that quickly. I put up about 8 or 10 stories a week on the website. So, they cycle through. But you can just hit the little search bar and type in McDermott and all of your articles will handily come up and your videos too.
Yes. And we have a new one coming out. When is our new one coming out?
I believe it is this Sunday,
Sunday.
By the wonderful Mr. Rob Landers.
Yes.
So, should we plug his show in Titusville?
Should we? Well, maybe we can, maybe we can't. So what he's going to be on, Mamma Mia, right?
Yes, yeah. Rob is a local theatrical actor as well as a great video shooter and director. So very talented man. I've worked with Rob for 15 years, a little bit more than that. I can't believe it. So
love being with him and his presence. He's bigger than life. And I'm so excited that I've gotten to know all of you at Florida Today. And we are partnering together with the Lillian McDermott radio show. Okay, so I was asking you, did I ask this on the air or off the air? When you get the article, and you're going through the reading, do you go back and start mulling it over and saying, do you go through the process of what I'm asking you, my listener, my follower, my readers? Do you go through that process of, what do I think? What do I feel?
So you asked me that during the break, but so luckily the people aren't hearing us repeat ourselves. But no, it's a great question of how I do this though. So when I see your article, the first thing I do is I open it and I read it in the Microsoft Word document that you send to me. I just read through it, I look at it, I kind of take it in, and then I put it into our Florida Today system of how we, get it in print online. That's where I do my edit. So I don't think I edit your articles very heavily because I try and leave them in the form that you send it so you can make the point that you're trying to make. And then after I edit it, then I print it out, and that's when I really kind of dissect it and highlight things. And that's the script that I have right here to my left is my printed out, highlighted, and ready to be discussed article.
Hit me with your best shot. What were some of the points that you want to highlight now? Because I want to play this game of truth or dare. I want people to really figure out where their truth originally come from. And is it their truth or is it an opinion?
Well, you discuss, taking out your soul shovel. I love that terminology. You sent that to me and we discussed that a little bit on the video as well. Yeah. But, and do a little digging into your own truth. And you say, I wonder if you're willing to play a new game of truth or dare. This time you get to examine your truths. Here are the rules. And you say, if you choose dare, and I don't think I'm going to choose dare, you say, you will need to jump into a pool with hungry sharks. So I guess that's going to force us to look at our truths, right?
That's it. That's the whole point of the article, is to look at our truth without judgment. And I don't know if we talked about this on the television show that you and I did, that'll air this Sunday. One of the things that I want people to understand, that when we take out our soul shovel, anytime we bring out our soul shovel and we dig deep within our spirit, it is without judgment. No different than we would look at 2 + 2 = 4. We would never look at 4 and go, oh my God, I can't believe 4. You don't do that. What we do is we look at it without attachment, without judgment. And then, of course, we answer the responsibility questions at whenyouneedafriend.com. You can go to the responsibility page there, which is, how did I create it? What are the gifts and lessons? What's going to be different? And how can I use this for the good of all? And so when we go through this process and we take out that soul shovel, it's with purpose, not to make me feel less than, not to make me feel inferior or stupid or whatever those voices in our heads that come out from when we were not going through that very popular stage in our life, you know?
Sure. And I like how you get into using your soul shovel analogy again, digging into where your truth has taken you. So has it taken you to a good place or a bad place? And that sets up the questions, has my truth kept me from the life I really want to live, accepting others' truth, including those who do not share my beliefs, walking a mile in someone else's shoes, and feeling joy adequate or complete. So if you ask yourself those questions and you get negative answers or positive answers, I think that's going to tell a person a lot about their truths.
Yeah. And so, and sometimes it's really good, and I think all times, is to investigate. We've talked about the Flat Earth Society on the Lillian McDermott radio show. They argue that the earth is flat and that the landing on the moon was not real and all of that. And they're passionate about their truth. But is it the truth? Perhaps not. Perhaps it is. Who knows? It's not it doesn't really matter to me if they believe it is or not. The fact that remains that we get on a boat and we don't fall off a cliff, right? And a miracle happens. Can we all just get along?
Yeah, I think that the people who think the earth is flat, that one's kind of far-fetched. The moon, I would like to think we were there, several times. I think there's a plaque up there. So when we get back to the moon, if there really is that plaque there, we've been there. If not, well, maybe it was all in Hollywood.
But that is something that people believe. And so one of the truths that I encountered was the way I ate. I grew up in a Spanish home, and we ate Spanish, Italian foods that tasted very much like Spanish foods. And my mom, taught us how to eat. And people go their whole life eating that way. We inherit our family recipes. That's why we inherit our family's diseases. It's because of the recipes. And so when I learned a new truth about that the food that I was eating, that I grew up with, was making me sick, I drastically changed the way I ate. And I promote that on the show. Now, I do not diminish somebody that has a different way of eating, but I will ask them to please respect the fact, just like religion, respect the fact that this is what I believe. Can we all just get along, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yep. And so this is when you learn something and all of a sudden that truth that you were taught is no longer a truth within you that doesn't resonate. Then it's about taking action. And we talk about that also on the Lillian McDermott radio show. And we're going to continue our game of truth or dare when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Oh my goodness, this is too fast. I need a 2-hour show.
No kidding. I'm sorry I got silent there in the last 30 seconds. You said something that kind of, and I was just thinking about it. The recipes you grow up with are the reasons you inherit the diseases that your family has. That's incredibly interesting. I've never heard anything put like that before.
Okay, so I'm glad
I was sitting there just in deep thought about it.
Well, think about it. You inherit your DNA from your family, right? DNA has 3%. That's it, 3%. And this is great news. This is great news because you can turn on and turn off that DNA, that disease, by the way you eat. What got them diseased was the way they ate. And of course, the way you think, your stress levels, how you sleep, all that you inherit, these behaviors that you inherit. And that's why it's always good to sit back down and say, okay, why did this happen to my father? Or why did this happen to my mother? I've been coaching somebody, and although I'm not a health coach, I'm a life coach. I've been coaching someone on nutrition because I do a lot of nutrition shows. A lot of our well-being comes from our food. And this person sent me a picture of their legs, and they were swollen, so swollen. I called them up immediately and I said, this is your wake-up call, because their father died of diabetes at 67, young. And she inherited all the family recipes that she loves and has made them worse, because now she's got a busier life than her parents ever lived. She didn't grow up with organic, healthy foods like her parents did. So now she is facing, at the age of 52, 53, facing a crisis in her life.
Yeah. Charlotte the other day showed me this post on Facebook, and it said there's no such thing as big boned. And it was an x-ray of a 400-pound person. And it basically looked like an x-ray of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man with a little stick in the middle of it. And that was their skeleton.
Yeah.
And you think of what that poor little skeleton takes from, I've got a friend who's maybe 2 inches taller than me. And, he had his first heart murmurs at 35, 36. And then he was, like I said, he's 5'8". He was about 220. Now he's had, like a mini stroke, and now he's close to 300 pounds. I saw him over Christmas break, and I said, you really got to do something.
Did you ask him to listen to the Lillian McDermott radio show?
No, I haven't. But you know what? I will definitely tell him to do that. But,
yeah.
It's upsetting to see somebody that I've known since I was a kid. We've known each other for 30, 35 years. And to know that, he's got 3 kids and they may grow up without a father because he just completely abuses himself.
Exactly. And so that's why I wrote this article. Sit down and think, is my belief supporting me at this age? I remember, Tim, and keep me honest, Brian, with the time. How did I know?
You can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959.
Oh, yes, it's your turn. Take it over.
Once again, here's Lillian.
All right, and welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. This is Tim Walters, an editor from Florida Today newspaper and FloridaToday.com, and we are discussing Lillian's monthly article that comes out in the pages of Florida Today's health section tomorrow, Thursday, and is already online at FloridaToday.com/health and whenyouneedafriend.com. So Lillian, I'm always appreciative that you have us here in the studio, and now it's that time of the show where we get to the thing that makes your article every month, and that is the acronym.
The acronym.
We've been talking about truth the entire show, so it only makes sense. What's your acronym?
The acronym is truth this time. Did you know that would be the acronym?
I kind of had an idea as I read through it, and then when I came to it, it made sense.
Good. Okay. So the acronym truth. Why I do an acronym at the end of my articles is I always want you to remember my articles. And when you hear that, I want to reframe the word, like fear. Follow every avenue required to live the life that you desire. So that's an acronym I created for fear. Follow every avenue required to live the life that you desire. Because when you think of fear now, I'm hoping that you will say, oh, okay, I just need to take a step and another step and another step to get what I want. For truth, I want us to think of, first T, think. The second one is respect, for R. Then U is understand. T is trust the process. And H is the higher power. So let's take them all one by one here, right?
Absolutely. So think, is this fact or opinion? Is your truth rooted in fear or love?
Yes.
The fact or opinion made sense, but that was an interesting way to follow it up. Is your truth rooted in fear or love? Where did that come from?
As when I was going through becoming a coach, I learned a lot of this that has supported me now for a while. But what do you think is the opposite of love?
Hate.
Exactly what we always would think is the opposite of love is hate. The opposite of love is fear. And hate is a subset of fear.
Interesting. Never really
Yes.
thought of it.
Yes. And so, hey, that's my truth. But anyway, anyway, that's what I learned. I relearned a new way of thinking that whenever I am in, whenever I'm feeling certain emotions, it's going to trigger other reactions. First, it's the thought, then it's the feeling, then it's the action. And so the opposite of love is fear. So if you are, if it's a fact or opinion, there's many things that I believe this is a fact, and it's so far fetched from that. And so that's why I want us to really look at what is keeping us from that joy that we want to experience. What is keeping us from getting along with people? And so think about, what is it that we want to be right about? And so if we can just give up that need, and which is that I talk about that later on, but think. So that's the first one.
All right. Our respect. I think this was my favorite of the 5 points you make. As you say, be curious, not critical about another person's perspective. I think if we all did that, there would be a lot less of a tense feel in society today.
You know, if we had a difference of opinion, which many of us do, especially married couples and friendships, children, you know, all at work, help me understand your perspective. Can that diffuse, like, I don't believe what you're saying, or prove it to me? Help me understand your perspective is different. Being curious. I'm really curious about why you believe this. These are words that diffuse a situation as opposed to ignite the fire.
All right. The U is understand. And you say this doesn't mean you have to agree with the other person's belief. You just need to understand it.
Understand.
And again, I think that it'd help people a lot if we tried to understand why the other person believes what they believe.
Pretty self-explanatory. You did a really good job at that one. So let's move on to the next one.
All right, T, trust the process. And boy, this is something that you say pretty much almost in every article, trust the process. So and it's a term that is used in sports a lot too, especially in basketball. You know, it's the process. You have to trust the process and things will come together. So explain your trust the process.
You know, when we give up the need to be right and we embrace a curious understanding, then there's going to be a level of openness that will allow you to listen to what the other person is saying, and you it might set you free. You know, you may have a belief that says that you could never be anything because you don't have a college degree. And I write about this in the article that 3 out of 10 billionaires, not rich people, billionaires beyond rich, don't have a college degree. So and some of them are dropouts. So we need to, you know, like when Dr. Bruce Lipton came on my show and said, you don't have to inherit your parents' diseases. You don't. That set me free. I thought I was destined to be morbidly obese because that runs in my family. Boy, I am so grateful for that new truth that Dr. Bruce Lipton, the biology of belief, taught me on that day. Set me free. So trust the process.
All right. And I hope I'm one of the 7 of 10 billionaires with a college degree. I'll take it either way. And the H in truth is higher power. Believe you will be guided toward the truth based on love. You should write songs.
Hey, maybe we should make this article into a song. Let's see what happens. But, you know, I truly believe that if your curiosity and understanding comes from a place of love, it will lead you to the truth.
And then you follow it up with a Mark Twain quote, and we've quoted Mark Twain.
Not Shania Twain, but Mark Twain.
Yeah, Mr. Samuel Langhorne Clemens. Look it up on Wikipedia for those who don't know. Anyhow, so you say Mark Twain said it best. It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so.
Love
and that's
that.
so poignant to what we've discussed all day
Love
today.
that. Love that.
Where did you find that?
I don't know. It just happens. I trust the process, and it happens.
There you go.
It's like I'm a little Rolodex. I hear these things, and it just comes out when I need it the most. I just don't know how it happens. I believe, I trust in a higher power that we will be given the tools that we need exactly when we need it, and boom, there goes Mark Twain. So this is what I want to encourage all of us as we enter this new year, as we do the New Year, New Truth, New You movement this year. It's a theme for the Lillian McDermott radio show, that we stop focusing on our differences and start embracing the value, the wisdom that somebody in front of me can bring. And I can learn from you, Tim, what to do and what not to do. Either way, you've been a great teacher.
All right. I appreciate that. I wasn't expecting you to say that, but excellent.
Caught you off guard a couple times today. This is going to be the show of the year.
Well, and then you just kind of wrap up your article with saying it's time to dig deep and discover if what you believe as truth is just an adopted, handed down belief or is not. So, I just think that sums it up really well.
Yeah. And it may be keeping us stuck, sick, sheltered. So it's time to embrace a new truth and figure out what is your truth. Not the truth, your truth. And that way we can start growing and releasing and shedding some of the things that have held us bound. And so, Tim, it's always such a pleasure to embrace the article with you. It just ignites me to be able to explain it a little bit more. So thank you so much for your time.
No, I appreciate it, Lillian, and I look forward to the next one.
Perfect. Now it's for you now, my listening friend. It's time to end the madness of our limited beliefs founded in fear. It is time to embrace health, wealth, wisdom, and love as our God-given right. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. I hope when you said ever, that was like in the camera. Great job, Tim. I started writing this article in October, and that preacher just threw me through a loop. And even when I was writing this article, I kept thinking about the preacher that we talked about last month. So those of you who would like to watch last month's article with Tim Walters, he actually imitates the principal. I didn't know you were like impersonator.
I guess I could have a second career as an evangelist if I needed to.
Exactly. It's the stuff that keeps us bound. And I am so grateful to you, Tim, for being a part of the Lillian McDermott radio show and believing in my articles enough to leave them as intact as possible.
And Lillian, I think I've been editing your article for about 2 years and 2 months now. And I've actually, my 2-year anniversary of completely taking over the health section is just a couple of weeks away. So
wow.
I can't believe I've been doing that for, a little more than 2 years now.
So have I been writing for the Florida Today for 3 years?
Probably, because you were writing when Chuck McClung was still editing,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And Chuck has been gone since, I guess it would be October of 15. So that's 2 years and 3 or 4 months ago now.
Wow. So I've been saying I've been writing for the Florida Today for 2 years, but it's been 3 years. I think I need a raise. So it's one of those things that it has been so wonderful to be able to release it out of me. I love to write. And here's a limiting belief that I was told when I went to college. It was that I was a horrible writer.
You're not. So if you want to point that person toward me, I'll happily explain to them that you're doing a wonderful job for us.
Oh, thank you. But you see, this is the thing that we do to ourselves. Those words can really hurt us. They say sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. That's BS. Names and words can, And it is so important that we sit down with these truths that hold us back and embrace something that's more empowering. I wanted to say to you that before, when I was a little girl, this is what I was going to say before the music started. When I was a little girl, I was taught to treat others the way I wanted to be treated. And that supported me very much when I was a little kid, because everybody believed what I believed. I was the center of the universe, right? So that supported me to be kind because I wanted people to be kind to me. That supported me in different ways. But as I got older, if I treated people the way I wanted to be treated, I would be negating the way you want to be treated. It no longer supported me. And so one of the articles I wrote for Florida Today is treat others the way they want to be treated, not the way you want to be treated. It gives them it's like you become aware, hey, somebody else has a difference. Somebody else has a need. So this is what I'm saying. We've got to release some of these lessons that we learned when we were kids that don't support us anymore. So I'm hoping that this article will do that for those who read it and embrace a new truth.
Well, before I say goodbye and head off to work, I did want to leave you with one other interesting Mark Twain quote. Just
awesome.
I love Twainisms. He once said that if you eat a live frog in the morning, anything you do the rest of the day is easier, meaning get the hard stuff done early, and then the rest of the day will take care of itself. So eat the frog, and your day can't get worse.
I like it. You know what? You'll never know when that quote comes out. Thank you so much, Tim. I really appreciate you and have enjoyed our friendship through, 2 years now. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And
we'll see you next time.
Yes, and to you, my viewers, I thank you for watching today. I look forward to our next conversation.